Good afternoon, everyone. Today's topic is chemical formula. So, in today's class, we will study about chemical formula of a compound, and also we will learn the rules to be followed while writing the chemical formula of different compounds. So, first we will see chemical formula definition. So, chemical formula of a compound is defined as a symbolic representation of composition of a compound. Okay, so chemical formula helps to represent the composition of a compound by using atomic symbols and numerical subscript. Okay, so chemical formula is represented by two ways, that is by empirical formula and second by the molecular formula. So molecular formula is a regular formula that we use nowadays to represent the chemical formula of a compound. Molecular formula indicates the exact number of atoms present in a molecule, and it is the preferred way to represent the chemical formula of a compound. Now, one more way to represent the chemical formula of a compound is empirical formula. An empirical formula is a simple formula which is in the form of simplest whole number ratio of atoms of element present in a compound. So empirical formula doesn't give us the actual number of atoms present in a compound, but it just gives the proportion of elements present in a molecule of compound. Okay, so this is not the preferred way to indicate or to write the chemical formula of a compound. Earlier scientists made use of this empirical formula, that is just before the molecular formula concept came. Okay, but afterwards molecular formula, because I told you, it gives the total number of atoms and also the type of atom, the arrangement of atom present in a molecule, whereas empirical formula just gives the ratio of the atom present in a molecule. From empirical formula we can just come to know what are the atoms present in a compound, but molecular formula gives us the full details. It gives the exact number of atom present in a molecule, and it also gives the idea of type of atom and arrangement of atom in a molecule of a compound. So molecular formula we generally use to write the chemical formula of a compound. It also helps us to balance the chemical equation, and for everything we use molecular formula only. So later we will discuss the differences between empirical formula and molecular formula, and how the molecular formula is preferred over the empirical formula. This also we will see in today's class only. Okay, but first we will study the rules to be followed while writing a molecular formula of a compound. Okay, so one should be very careful with the symbols of different elements and their valencies before writing the molecular formula of any compound. Okay, so students, why I am telling this? When you are going to write the molecular formula of any compound, you should be very much clear about the symbols of different elements and the different valencies of elements. Okay, so first rule is, when a compound is made up of metal and non-metal, okay, that means if a compound is a ionic compound, then the name or the symbol of the metal is written first, that is on the left side of the formula, and then the name and or the symbol of non-metal. So if you are given the name of an ionic compound, so while writing the formula, the symbol of the metal will be written first, that is on the left side of the formula, and afterwards the symbol of non-metal. We'll see example. That means if you have sodium chloride. So sodium chloride, you know, it is made up of sodium atom and sodium element and chlorine element. So you know that sodium is a metal and chloride, which is element of chlorine. So the chloride is a non-metal. So metal will be written, the symbol of metal will be written first, that is Na. Na represents sodium, and sodium chloride is made up of sodium and chlorine elements. So Cl will be written after metal. So because this is a metal, so it will be written first, that is on the left side of the formula, and chlorine, because it is a non-metal, so it will be written after metal. Okay, so like that you can have different examples. If the calcium oxide, so you know calcium oxide is made up of elements calcium and oxygen. So calcium is a metal, so it will be written first, the symbol of calcium will be written first and then the oxygen. Similarly in copper sulfide, copper and sulfur are the elements. So copper is a metal, so it will be written first, and the symbol of sulfide will be written after copper, because sulfur is a non-metal. Okay, so this is the first rule. Now second is, the number of each constituent element of a compound is indicated by subscript. So if whatever the constituent elements present in a compound, its number or number of atoms present in a compound will be represented or indicated by the subscript. We'll see the example quickly. If you are given to write a molecule of water, so you know that water consists of 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. So how will you write? You will write first the symbol H and O. So you know that there are 2 hydrogen atom in water, so you will write the number as lower subscript. Okay? And oxygen, there is only 1 oxygen, so 1 can be represented, it is preferred not to represent 1 if there is only 1 atom of any element. Okay, so overall you can write it as H2O. So here you can see that the number of atoms present in the element of a compound will be represented as, or it will be indicated by the lower subscript. Okay. Similarly, hydrogen peroxide, you know hydrogen peroxide consists of 2 hydrogen atoms and 2 oxygen atoms. So you have 2 hydrogen atoms. So 2 hydrogen atoms, so number will be indicated by the subscript, and 2 oxygen atoms. So here also you can see the number of atoms constituent elements in a compound will be represented by the subscript. Okay, similarly carbon dioxide, you know it is made up of 1 carbon atom and 2 oxygen atoms. So you have 1 carbon atom and 2 oxygen atoms. So overall you can write as CO2. So here you can see, here also you can see the number of the atoms present in the constituent element of a compound will be represented or indicated by the subscript. Okay, so like that you can write the you can indicate the number of each constituent elements by using the subscript. Okay, third rule is, the number of molecules of a compound taking part in a chemical reaction is represented by writing number 1, 2, 3, 4 before the formula of the compound. So when we do the chemical reaction, and when we show that chemical reaction in the form of chemical equation, then we need to show how many molecules of that any compound is reacting with how many molecules of other compound, forming how many molecules of product compound. Okay, so how to show the molecules, how many molecules are taking part in the chemical reaction, or how many molecules of products have been formed. So all that the number of molecules can be represented by number 1, 2, 3, 4. So when I say 1 molecule of carbon dioxide, for example, so I'll just write CO2. There is no need to write 1 here. Okay, so CO2 itself indicates that there is one molecule of CO2. Okay, but if I have to write, I have to show two molecules of carbon dioxide in the form of chemical formula, then I have to show it by writing number just beside the chemical formula. Two molecules means you have to write 2 here, number 2 here. So this represents there are 2 molecules of carbon dioxide, and 1 molecule of carbon dioxide is just like that. If you show here also correct, if you don't show also, it shows that there is 1 molecule of carbon dioxide. Similarly, if you have to show 3 molecules of water, then you have to show it by writing the number of molecule just beside the chemical formula of that compound. Okay, so like that you can show the number of molecule of a compound by writing number like 1, 2, 3, 4 just beside the chemical formula of that compound. Okay, now fourth rule is valency of combining atom are crossed over to predict the correct chemical formula. Okay, so when you are writing the chemical formula, so there is a very easy method to find out the correct chemical formula of any compound. So that you can do with the help of symbols and the valency of combining atom. Okay, so we'll see examples, and we'll just come to know how we can just write the correct chemical formula of any compound. Let's say if you have given if you have been given hydrogen chloride, and you have to write you have to predict the correct chemical formula of hydrogen chloride. So many of the general chemical formula we know, but whether it is correct or not, so that we can just check it by this method. Okay, so hydrogen chloride, you know, hydrogen chloride means you have hydrogen atom and you have chlorine atom. Hydrogen chloride is made up of, it consists of hydrogen atom and chlorine atom. That from this name we can just predict it is made up of hydrogen atoms and chlorine atom. Okay, so after that you have just have to write the valency of hydrogen just below its symbol. So you know hydrogen valency is 1, as we have studied last class only, and chloride, the valency of chloride is 1. Now cross over each other like this. Okay, and from that we can predict the formula. How? So H now takes the number 1, H 1. Okay, and chloride will take the number valency number 1. So the formula will be HCl. We'll just ignore 1 here. Okay, both are of same, so we'll just write HCl. So this is the correct formula, correct chemical formula of hydrogen chloride. You can just check it by this method. Similarly, you have hydrogen sulfide. You know that hydrogen sulfide consists of hydrogen and sulfide. Okay, so the symbol of hydrogen is H and symbol of sulfide is S. These all things we have already studied where in the last class only. Okay, so and valency also, we'll write the valency of hydrogen, it is 1. And what is the valency of sulfide? That I had given you in the last video. In that I made one table, and there valence symbol of all the metal and non-metal ions are there. Okay, so sulfide valency is how much? 2. You can just see. Okay, so just cross over it. Okay, and write H2 and S1. So this can be written as H2S. There is no need to show 1 here. So the formula, correct formula of hydrogen sulfide is H2S. Similarly, we'll see one more example. Magnesium chloride, you know the symbol of magnesium is Mg and chloride symbol is Cl. Now magnesium valency is 2. You have to write the valency just below the symbol, and the valency of chloride is 1. Okay. So just cross over it like this, and Mg1. So Mg1 and Cl2. Cl2. So this can be written as MgCl2. So this is the formula of magnesium chloride, MgCl2. So this is very easy method, and from this method you can predict most of the chemical compound formulas. Okay, so we'll see one more example, sodium nitrate. But students, you should be very much clear of the symbols of different elements as well as the valency. If you are not knowing the symbol and valency, then you cannot use this method to predict the correct chemical formula of any compound. So before, that's why I just told you in the starting of this video only, that learn and mug up all the symbols of the elements as well as their valencies. Okay, so we'll see the sodium nitrate. Sodium symbol is Na and nitrate symbol is NO3. Okay, now valency of sodium is 1 and valency of nitrate is 1. So just cross over this and you can just predict the formula. Na, how much? Na 1 and NO3 1. NO3 1 can be written as NaNO3. So if somebody asks you to predict the formula of sodium nitrate, you can just do it by this method and you can predict comfortably the formula NaNO3. Okay. Now one more is carbon tetrachloride. So carbon tetrachloride means the carbon symbol is C and it contains chloride element in it. So chloride symbol is this. You have to just write the name of the element and symbol of the element and just write the valency below the symbol. So carbon valency is 4, you know, and chloride valency is 1. Just cross over this also and you will get the formula C1 and Cl4. Cl4. So it can be written as CCl4. Just ignore 1. Okay, so CCl4. So this is the correct chemical formula of carbon tetrachloride. Similarly, calcium hydroxide. So symbol of calcium is Ca and hydroxide symbol is OH. It is a diatomic symbol. This hydroxide is made up of oxygen and hydrogen. Okay, so the valency of calcium is 2 and valency of hydroxide is 1. Cross over these two and we will get the compound Ca1. So this is Ca1 and OH2. OH, while writing 2, you have to put bracket over OH and then write 2, because this subscript 2 belongs both to oxygen atom and hydrogen atom. If you don't put bracket here and if you write just like that, then the 2 subscript belongs to H only, not oxygen. And as per the symbol, the hydroxide 2 belongs to the hydroxide symbol. So you have to mandatorily put coast over here, then only you will get the correct formula. Now ignore 1 and you can just write CaOH whole 2. Now you can ask me one question that ma'am, here also we have to put coast over Ca. No, there is no need to write coast over Ca, because Ca is symbol, it represents the symbol of just one atom of calcium, where it is different. Here a group of atoms forming the symbol hydroxide. So you have to put coast here. One you are writing here, it belongs to calcium only, because it represents the symbol of just one element only. Okay, so there is no need to put a coast over here. But for the diatomic symbol, if you are writing the symbol of representing the symbol of diatoms, then you have to put coast bracket over that. Okay, now you have one more, aluminium sulfate. Now symbol of aluminium is Al and sulfate symbol is SO4. Cross over this also and you will get Al2 SO4 3. Here also you have seen here the symbol is of diatom. So while writing the subscript, you have to first put cos towards SO4 and then write the subscript 3. Okay, so now the formula of aluminum sulfate is Al2SO4 whole 3. Okay. Now the fifth rule is, in case of ions, the number of positive charge and negative charge show the valency itself. As I have discussed this in our last video only, that the net positive charge, number of net positive charge on ions shows the valency itself. Let's say I'll tell you, I'll repeat, Na plus. This is the ion of sodium. So what will be the valency? Valency just can be calculated by just seeing the number of net charges on that ion. The net charge is how much? 1. 1 plus charge. 1 positive charge is there. So valency is 1. Similarly, if you see the aluminium ion is can be written like that. Al3 plus. So the net number of net charge on aluminium is how much? 3 plus 3. So we will write the valency as just the number 3. Okay. Similarly, you can write chlorine minus. There is 1 negative charge. So valency will be just 1. So the number of net positive or negative charge represent the valency of that ion. Valency of that element. Aluminium, sodium, chloride, etc. Okay. Hence, the positive and negative charge cancel each other completely to make the overall compound or structure neutral. So whatever we are predicting by this method, the formula of the chemical compound, they are all electrically neutral, because in the case of especially the ionic compound, whatever the formula we are getting, there all the positive charge on the cation, all the negative charge on the anion, they both cancel out each other, they balance each other, forming giving the compound electrically neutral compound, neutral structure. So we will just check it also. First we will see aluminum oxide. So aluminum is 3 and oxide can be written as O and its valence is 2. So when you cross over this, you will get Al2 O3. Okay, this is aluminum oxide, it is Al2O3. Formula of aluminum chloride is now Al2O3 that we have predicted now. Now we will check whether the chemical formula we have got by this method is electrically neutral or not, because here we are seeing this is the ionic compound. How aluminum is a metal and oxide is a non-metal. It is oxygen is a non-metal. So metal and non-metal forms only the ionic compound. So we will see whether the compound we have formed is electrically neutral or not. So we will just check it here. You know there are 2 aluminum atoms. Okay, here. So the charge on aluminum is how much? Plus 3. So one aluminum ion contains plus 3 charge. So 2 aluminum ions consist of how many charges overall? You just multiply it. Plus 3 into 2. You will get plus 6. So overall charge on 2 aluminum atoms are plus 6. How much? Al plus 3 and another Al plus 3. Then we'll get the 6. You can just multiply it and we'll get 6. Now we'll see oxygen. There are 3 oxygen atoms. So overall charge on oxygen atom is how much? Net charge is minus 2. So one oxygen ion have net charge minus 2. So there are 3 oxygen ions. So you can there also you can just do minus 2 into 3. Minus 2 into 3. How much you'll get? Minus 6. So aluminium is plus 6, oxygen here is minus 6. Plus 6 minus 6 will cancel out each other, forming overall giving 0. It means they both are cancelling out each other, forming the compound neutral. So whatever the compound we have got is neutral. We have just checked it by this method. Okay. So one more, just we'll see one more compound, calcium oxide. Okay, calcium oxide is calcium and oxygen here. Okay, So you know calcium valency is 2 and oxide valency is 2 only, calcium oxide. We will cross over it and we will get Ca2 and O2. This can be just simplified, 2 and 2, we will just cut it, we will get 1 1. So we will get Ca1 and O1. This can just be written as CaO. So the formula of calcium oxide is CaO, we have predicted. Now we will check whether the predicted chemical formula of calcium oxide is electrically neutral or not. So we will just see here. Calcium consists of how many net charges? Ca plus 2, and oxygen you know it is minus 2. So here overall is plus 2 and here overall is minus 2. Okay. So plus 2 minus 2 plus 2 minus 2 cancel out each other, giving you the overall compound is how it is electrically neutral. Overall result is 0. That means whatever the predicted chemical formula is electrically neutral. So like that, when we predict any chemical formula, it should be completely neutral, it should be electrically neutral. Okay, so that was about the rules for writing the chemical formula of different compounds. Now the another topic is empirical formula. So as I told you that empirical formula is not the perfect way to represent the chemical formula of a compound. Why? Because it gives the simplest whole number ratio of atom of element present in a molecule of the compound. So it gives the formula in the most reduced ratio of atoms, but it does not give the actual number of atoms present in a compound. It is only calculated by the can be given by the molecular formula. We'll see the examples first. Molecular formula of hydrogen peroxide is H2O2. Okay, but if we'll see the empirical formula of hydrogen peroxide, it is HO. Molecular formula gives the correct or exact number of atoms present in a molecule of a compound, but empirical formula, as you can see, it is the most reduced form of the atoms present in a molecule of a compound. How we have calculated the empirical formula, we'll just see. So molecular formula is H2O2. So we'll just write the ratio of atoms are like hydrogen 2 and oxygen is 2. So 2 into is to 2 ratio hydrogen and oxygen are present. So we can just, if we can just simplify it, or if we can reduce it in most simple ratio, yes we can. So we can just do it. So hydrogen 1 and oxygen 1 we have got, and this is the most reduced or the simplest ratio of atom of hydrogen peroxide. So we can just write H1O1 as HO. So we have written the empirical formula of hydrogen peroxide is HO. Just like that, we can calculate the empirical formula of different compound also with the help of the molecular formula. So molecular formula of ethane is C2H6. So what will be the empirical formula of ethane? So here carbon and hydrogen are in the ratio of 2:6. 2:6. Can we simplify it, or we can we just make it in a more reduced way? Yes, we can make it, okay, in 1:3 ratio. So carbon 1 and hydrogen 3. So CH3. So hence we can write the empirical formula of ethane as CH3 here. Here only you can just simplify it and show here. 2 1 ja 2, 2 3 ja. So 1 3 CH3. So the empirical formula of ethane will be CH3. Similarly, molecular formula of benzene is C6H6. What would be the empirical formula of benzene? So here we can just do a more simple way as CH. Okay, so empirical formula of benzene will be CH. So like that we can see here the formula, whatever empirical formula whatever we got of benzene is in the most reduced or a simple ratio, and this chemical formula does not give us the information, complete information about the number of atoms present in benzene molecule or benzene compound. It only gives us the type of the atoms, information about the type of atom present in a benzene. So type of atom is carbon and hydrogen, but it is not giving the exact number of carbon and hydrogen atom which makes up the benzene. So it is given by what? It is given by the molecular formula only. Here we can see the molecular formula of benzene is C6H6, and here we can see here the type of the it is giving the exact information of the type of atom, also the number of atoms present in the benzene. That is why we say that the molecular formula is the perfect way to represent the chemical formula of any compound. Okay, sometimes the empirical formula and molecular formula of the compound is same, in which cases like in methane, carbon dioxide and many other compound also. In those compound where the molecular ratio of the atoms in whatever the molecular formula of the compound is there, that molecular formula only is in the most reduced form and it cannot be reduced further. So in that case empirical and molecular formula will be same. For example, methane. Can you still simplify this? Can you further can make the this ratio in further reduced form? No, you cannot make in still reduced form. So here this is the molecular formula of methane, and here empirical formula of methane also will be CH4 only. Similarly in carbon dioxide, here you can see the ratio is in 1:2, which cannot be simplified or reduced further. So here also we can see that empirical and the molecular formula will be same only, that is CO2. Okay. Now one way, if you know the molecular formula, you can just predict the empirical formula of any compound. Okay, so the formula is molecular formula is equal to N into empirical formula. Okay, this is the formula. Now we will see one table here. Here I'll just show you. Molecular formula of ethane is C2H4, propene is C3H6, butane is C4H8, and pentane is C5H10. These are the different compounds and their molecular formula. But if you see the empirical formula of this compound, the empirical formula of this compound is same, that is CH2. See, ethane C2H4, we can just simplify it into C1H2, that is CS2. Similarly, propene C3H6, here also we can simplify C1H2, we will get CH2 only. Similarly, butane, here also is C1H2, CH2 we are getting. Here also we are getting. So see here, the molecular formula are different, but all the molecular formula of different compounds have the same empirical formula. So this is the limitation of empirical formula. From the empirical formula we cannot predict the actual compound, name of the compound. So for different molecular formula we have only one empirical formula. That is why empirical formula is not the perfect way to represent the chemical formula of any compounds. So this was about your molecular formula. Empirical formula is not in your syllabus, but you should know, because this is also one way to represent, the scientists use this way to represent the chemical formula of a compound in most reduced ratio of their atoms. Okay, thank you. We will see solve questions. Now first one is define cation and anion. So cation, positively charged ion is called cation. Simple answer in one line.
Anion, negatively charged ion, is called anion. And you can give 2 or 3 examples for each of them. For cation, Na plus, Ca2 plus, Mg2 plus, all are having what? Positively charged. All are positively charged. So they are cation. And anion, you can see Cl minus, Br minus, O2 minus, OH minus. They are all negatively charged. So these ions are anion. Okay. Now next question is, write the ionic form of the following elements and categorize into cation and anion. So what you have to do is, first you have to, whatever the elements I have given, you first form the cation and anion and then categorize them. So calcium will be in the form of Cu2 plus, it will be a cation. Then this is silver in the form of silver cation, silver ion, it is a cation. Then here also hydrogen cation, hydrogen ion. Then here iron in the form of Fe2 plus and Fe3 plus, they are cation. Then Cu2 plus and Cu2 plus, and copper is cation. Okay. Similarly, Cl minus, that means chlorine is anion. Then oxygen element is in the form of oxide, O2 minus, so it is an anion. So nitrogen in the form of N3 minus, so it is also an anion, nitride. Okay. So Br minus, bromide, bromine is in the form of anion. Then here hydrogen is in the form of anion, that is hydride. Here you can see that hydrogen is acting both as cation as well as anion. Hydrogen ion as cation and hydride ion as anion. Okay. Now third is, write the valency of the following elements. So you have to just write the, as I told you that in the case of ions, the net charge of ion, the number of net charge on ion is its valency itself. Okay. And for other, I have given you the, I gave you the hint also to write, because carbon do not form or phosphorus do not form the ionic compound, though they are non-metals, but they do not form the ionic compound. So they have just the valency. We cannot find out the valency from the net charge because it does not have any net charge on them. So we'll just know their valency. Okay, so I gave you the hint also to write the valency of carbon and phosphorus. So potassium valency is 1, then copper is in the form of copper valency, variable valency 1 and 2. Then magnesium valency is 2, zinc valency is also 2, phosphorus valency is 3 and 5, and carbon valency is always 4. As I told you, valency is the combining capacity of any element. So these numbers are showing the combining capacity of the elements. Okay. Next question was, which of the following ions are tetraatomic ions? So tetra means what? 4 atoms. So you have to just find out the ions, whatever I have given you. These ions are made up of how many atoms, whether they are tetra or not. If they are tetra, you have to write them, that is tetra. So you have to just find out what the ions which are there are in those which are and all are tetraatomic. So we'll just see here, you can see SO3 2 minus. You should not see the charge, you just see the atoms, number of atoms. This one you have to just see the number of atoms, O3 and S. So there are 3 atoms of oxygen and 1 atom of sulfur. There are overall how many atoms? 4 atoms. So 4 atoms means tetra. Tetra means 4. So this is tetraatomic ion. If you see SO4 2 minus, this is sulfate ion. So here you can see 4 atoms of oxygen and 1 atom of sulfur. Overall how much? 5 atoms are there. 5 atoms means this is not tetra. Similarly here phosphate, you can see here, you have to see this one. 4 atoms of oxygen and 1 atom of phosphorus. So total 1 plus 4, 5 atoms are there. So it is penta, not tetra. So CO3, in CO3 2 minus, you just see the atoms, whether it is tetra or not, tetraatomic or not. So 3 atoms of oxygen and 1 atom of carbon, 1 plus 3, 4. So it is tetra.
Okay, so similarly NO3 minus nitrate. So here you can see 3 atoms of oxygen, 1 atom of nitrogen, total 1 plus 3, 4 atoms. So this is nitrate ion is a tetraatomic ion made up of 3 atoms. Okay, so 4 atoms. So we can write here the tetraatomic ion here. Okay, so that was about your solved questions. So answer I have given you, just recheck your answer, and if there is any mistake, you have missed anything, just correct it. Okay, thank you.